You know what I find exciting? The different ways people turn their love of plants into something special. For artists, there's no end to the inspiration to be drawn from the garden. Prepare yourself for creativity and colour overload.
The best part about what I do is I get to spend every day immersed in this world of beauty and flowers. My name is Adriana Picker. I'm an illustrator and artist living here in Sydney, and I mostly focus on plants and flowers in my work. I would describe my style of illustration as really lush and vibrant and quite romantic. It's certainly not realistic. I do have my own style that comes across in the work, so it's not like a traditional botanical illustration. My grandmother, Emma, was a really avid gardener, and she passed that on to my mum, Sally. And I think that has been passed along to me, but I've just manifested it in a different way. I grew up in the Blue Mountains. We lived in Wentworth Falls. As a child, we were always making something or gardening or drawing. Like, creativity was really, really valued. I studied design, and I started out as a commercial illustrator trying to follow trends and perhaps produce what the market wanted, which was, you know, maybe fashion illustration or something like that. And it wasn't until I started drawing what I was really passionate about, and that's plants, that I really gained traction in my career. So once I have found the reference I want to use, be it a plant or a photograph, then I start sketching. These are Christmas bells. So these are my first sort of rough sketches so I can get the composition and the form. So I'm using a pencil brush here on the tablet. I'm using line weight and line direction to suggest volume, shape and form. Once I've worked out like the composition, then I'll go in and do the detail, so I'll embellish from there. I love having a little garden. It brings me such joy. I mean, it's so nice to come out here and see their progress and, you know, have a little bit of a chat to Murray. I don't name all of my plants, but I do name some of them and the special ones, and this is Murray, the macret lime. It's just so great to include in dishes, like that fresh, aromatic taste. And there's also Darren, the Cymbidium orchid, which looks a little sad, but the Cymbidium orchids do have a tendency to look a bit raggedy, but you know, they kind of do thrive on neglect. And then in this section here, I have some begonias. My favourite are the cane begonias. They just seem to grow so well, sort of on their own in this climate. They're much tougher. I have a few Rex begonias, and I can't pretend that I'm very good at growing those at all. I treat them a bit more like a cut flower that kind of lasts a little bit longer. The begonias, I tend to only water once a week, but they do like to dry out between being watered. So the begonias suit me well. Also the pilia, which I like to grow because I give them away as gifts all the time. It's just a really beautiful plant to propagate, really easy, and you basically can't kill it. So Petal is about the world of flowers through the eye of an artist. You know, it's a book that I would have loved as a 5-year-old. It's a book that my grandmother, as an 80-year-old, would have loved, and I love it now. So yeah, it's this small little gift that I wanted to give to other plant lovers. I'm quite a sentimental person, so the rose that I've included on this page is called the Sally Holmes rose, and that's actually my mother's maiden name. Loved the allium family. A common onion flower is so beautiful. Like, when you look at an onion, you're like, it's such a banal common object, and this is the flower of a common onion. It's astounding. Yeah, another favourite plant family for me is the legume. There's 23,000 species. I always thought of legumes as like, you know, small peas and sweet peas and things like that, but I never considered that how diverse that family could be. You know, one of the really iconic Australian native plants, Sturt's desert pea. Another favourite of mine is the blue jade vine, which is actually pollinated by bats. Yeah, I really enjoyed learning these little facts. 4 years ago, I moved to New York to sort of broaden career opportunities, but also just to experience a new country. Living in New York, it's this great big metropolis, but it's actually quite a green city if you care to look. So the process of finding connection and meaning for me in New York, I did through plants. So I used to go on these little explorations of the city, and for me it was a really grounding routine. It was about discovering the joy and the beauty and the wonder in the everyday. And I think plants can really give us that. After coming back from New York, I've tried to have the same attitude of discovery here about Sydney. So I've been trying to look at Sydney as if I'm a tourist here. Around the corner from me is the Botanic Gardens, and it's a place that I'm really enjoying rediscovering since I've come back home. So I'm just drawing these really beautiful begonia flowers. I think you can get a real sense of what's going on with the plant. And if I wasn't here sitting sort of observing this closely, I would never have noticed the difference in the budding stage. And then these are the seed pods. They're also really lovely and fuzzy and furry, which is quite difficult to draw. Yeah, look at the veining on the back of the leaf. Isn't that gorgeous? I think one of the reasons that I love flowers so much is because of that connection to my family, to my mother and to my grandmother. She said to Mum when I was about 5 or something that she thought I'd become a florist because she saw how much I love plants, and it's really interesting. I think I have become a florist or a collector of flowers of sorts, so she'd be really proud to see what I've become, I think.